You're watching this video probably because you've done your pond construction, your pond is ready and you want to stock your fingerlings, or you just want to have information in order for you to be well informed before you even start your fish farming. So whatever your reasons, you're on the right track. It is always important for you to make sure that you're well informed before you dive into doing things in life. Hello everyone, my name is Nefuno Kawe from Fuse Farm. I like to do videos on natural hair care, fish farming and anything in between. So this video is going to be on fish farming. If you're not interested in fish farming, you're just all about natural hair, no pressure, just head over to the videos on natural hair. If you've been watching my videos and you've been enjoying watching them and you're not subscribed, please do me a favor, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button so that you get reminded each time I upload new videos. In this video, I'll be taking you along to buy fingerlings, and on the way, I'm going to be giving you tips on what you need to know before you even think of buying fingerlings or you think of stocking your ponds. We're talking tilapia, so let's go. So as Fuse Farms, we're located in Lusaka West, 30 kilometers away from the Lusaka main post office. We will be buying our fingerlings from Iban Aqua Services, and they are located in the showgrounds. We found another customer who was buying about 25,000 fingerlings, and from the look of things, our batch was the last one. So we quickly go to the office to go and make the payment before they run out. So now that we've paid, they begin to prepare the carrier bags. They put some plastics in the buckets, they fill them with some clean water, and then they catch the fish from the happers. There's a particular dish they use, weight, and it turns out that the dish is about 1010. Know the numbers, so you know how many fingerlings approximately you are getting. This is very important for you to do so that you don't go undersupplied. Then the fingerlings are put in the bags, and the bags are filled with oxygen. After the oxygen is filled, then the bags are tightly secured. So to make the bags airtight, he first starts by rolling the bags and then tightly securing with a rubber band. And then after that, bends the top and then tightly secure it again with a rubber band. And then the bag is finally put in the pond as they finish preparing the others. When everything is done, you load them in the car, then you drive off. So previously, the people that would load for us would pack the bags, the top side down. But this time around, the person who was loading put them the top side up. I was under the impression that the correct way is to put them the top side down. Let me know in the comments down below what you think, which is the correct way to load. We arrived safely, there were no leakages and all, and we even stocked. That's how I buy my fingerlings. Please make sure you stay up to the end, because now I'm starting to give you the tips on what you need to know before you even go to buy the fingerlings. There are many things that you need to know before you stock your ponds. Tip number 1, pond preparation. Always make sure your pond is ready before you do your stocking. Make sure that throughout the cycle of your fish, you will have enough water. If your pond was previously stocked, you need to prepare it. You need to clean out the gunk and the dirt. You need to lime it. You also need to fertilize the pond. You can either use chicken manure. I use chicken manure. Others use inorganic fertilizer. It's all good. What you want to achieve is the light green color in the water. That will enable your fish to flourish. And the amount of water, it doesn't really have to be a lot of water. I've made that mistake. Initially, would stock in a pond full of water, but now I've learned that you don't need to stock in a lot of water. It's actually more stressful on the fish. So what you do is just to have a little amount of water, maybe like this much water that's enough for your fingerlings, because they're still tiny and they don't need to go around and everywhere to swim, look for food and the like. Alternatively, if you want to still use a pond full of water, I've learned that you could put the fingerlings in happers. Happers are those small nets that will look like cages in the pond. Will stock your fish, and then it means they won't be wandering all over. They'll just be in a happer till it's big enough for you to release it and let it be free to swim. Tip number 2, the stocking density. What is the capacity of your pond? There's a standard. You need to know how much your pond can carry, and this is dependent on other parameters. Do you have enough water? Are you going to be able to make sure that there's enough dissolved oxygen and whatnot? But it is advisable that as a beginner, you don't go beyond 8 fingerlings per square meter. So you can stock from 6 to 10, it's your choice, but from what I've gathered now, it's like for beginners, 8 fingerlings per square meter is the best or doable, but you have to make sure that you have enough water and you have means of making sure that your water has dissolved oxygen. Tip number 3, timing. This video is long overdue. I am not stocking right now. I stocked some time back and I think the fish is now over 100 grams. It's just that I've been putting this video off and off and off and off. So currently in Zambia, we're in the cold season, and the cold season is not the best time to stock. So that's May, June and July. You can start stocking end of August. The reason why you're not stocking in the cold season is because when you buy your small fingerlings and stock them in the cold season, they may get stunted because the temperatures are not good for the fingerlings now, or for the fish in general. Their appetite is usually low, so it means they will not be active, they won't be eating, they'll get stressed, they might even get diseased. So timing is very, very crucial. Do not stock in the cold season. If you do, you're going to find that your fish gets stunted. It might even fail to reach even 200 grams. If that's the mistake that you've made before, now you know you shouldn't make that mistake again. Unless you've got heaters. Yeah, it's very possible to have pond heaters. There are some people that are so advanced that they control the temperatures. There's new technology now. So if you've got heaters, not a problem. It means you're going to be able to manage the temperatures in your pond. Tip number 4. Know the species that is allowed in your area. We're talking tilapia. There are different kinds of tilapia. There's the Niloticus, which is the Nile tilapia. There's the Andersoni. There's the Mozambique. Is it Mozambique or Mozambique? Something like that. I should be able to put a link down below when I get the list of the types of tilapia that we have. But the common one in Zambia is the Andersoni and the Niloticus. So you need to know what is permissible in your area. In Lusaka, Niloticus is allowed. Even Andersoni is allowed, so you can do either, but we normally go for Niloticus because it's a bit more resistant and it grows faster than the others. So there are areas like, I know in the northern province and eastern province, Niloticus is not allowed because they fear that it's an invasive species and it might destroy our ecosystems there. So if you want to be sure, visit your fisheries department. They should be able to give you that information. And by the way, if you grow the fish that is not permissible in your area, the fisheries department will then be able to come and destroy all your fish. Get it and destroy it. It's that serious. So do not stock the species that is not allowed in your area. That's very, very important. In fact, the people that are selling you the fingerlings, normally they will advise you on what is allowed. I think the rules do not allow them to sell you fingerlings without knowing where you're taking the fish. So it's just for you to know before you stock. You need to make sure you ask the people that are selling if that type of fish is allowed in your area, so that you don't have losses. Tip number 5, the distance. It's important for you to know the distance you're going to cover from buying your fingerlings up to the farm. How far is the place you're buying your fingerlings? The distance doesn't have to be too long, because it will result in stressing the fingerlings, and when your fingerlings are stressed, growth can be compromised. You saw that when they were packing the fingerlings, they were adding oxygen. That's because the fish will need oxygen to breathe. So it is important for you to know the distance that you're covering, so that your oxygen does not deplete and you don't stress your fish as well. Tip number 6, the quality of fingerlings. We have spoken about the quality of fingerlings. Trust you me, in Zambia we still have a challenge of the quality of fingerlings. Even the reputable hatcheries have sometimes disappointed us a little bit. You need to stock male fingerling because they grow bigger. So the bigger the fish, the more money in your pocket. What that means is that you need to buy sex reversed fingerlings, but from what we've seen, I doubt if sometimes it's 98%, because it's like half the pond was female and there was just breeding, and then half the fish were big. So that was kind of a loss because we were only able to sell the big ones, and the small ones we were stuck with them, and we decided to throw them in a holding pond to say we'll be having them for home and the like. But then in that pond again, the reproduction was over and over. So for business, reproduction in a small pond is not good for you. So you need to get fingerlings from reputable hatcheries. And to tell you the truth, in Zambia right now there are very few people that are producing fingerlings. So those of you that want to get into fish farming, growing fish, that's an area that you can invest in fingerling production, because there are fewer people in fingerling production. It's something that I need to also study, research on, and see how much it costs and whatnot for me to be able to do that. I wouldn't mind even just doing it on a smaller scale for my own production and growing and stuff like that. I think it probably has even more money than growing the fish itself. If the fingerlings are not sex reversed, you may wish not to buy unless it's for home consumption and not for business. So tip number 7, stocking correctly. You need to make sure that when you're stocking, you make sure the water in the bag and the water in the pond are of the same temperature. So you leave your bags for 20 to 30 minutes just waiting and waiting and waiting until you assume that the acclimatization has happened. Then you can slowly do your stocking. I think I've done a video before where we're stocking the pond, so if you've never watched a video on how to correctly stock your pond, I will link the video down below, unless I did not post it, because sometimes I've got a tendency of collecting content and then I forget to post because maybe time will have elapsed and blah 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 and blah. So now we move to tip number 8. You need to make sure that your pond is protected. There's so many predators for the fish. So like for us, we have birds that come. They'll just come even at night. You just hear them and they pick the fish. So sometimes you find the gentlemen in the farm, they'll be whistling and then they run. For me, I can't whistle, so I just start screaming sometimes, and then they'll fly away. But that's not the best thing, because from time to time we find injured fish. Maybe one eye is not there because it's been poked. Then for those that are near to the water bodies, you have snakes in the water, you have crocodiles. I'm told crocodiles, when they enter in the pond, they can eat the fish. You find there's no fish. So make sure that your ponds are nicely fenced with whatever you can use to fence, but even just from human beings, because if you leave it open, you'll find that human beings can even come and help themselves when you're not. And you restrict entry even just for management of germs, because if it's open, you'll find there'll be people going to touch the water and then they leave germs in there, so your fish will be getting infected every now and then. Just make sure you protect your ponds. For us, because it's right in front of the house, we lock so that the children do not go to play near the ponds, but also to avoid people from going to wash their hands or drink water from that. I've seen once, when we were working in the ponds, someone decided to start drinking water. Trust you me, that's not good. We have a lot of bacteria, we have a lot of germs in our hands and whatnot. So tip number 9 is still on water. Make sure the water that you have is not chlorinated water. Yeah, because there's some people that have told me they wanted to do fish farming in the backyard or in containers, and they wanted to use tap water which is chlorinated. Just make sure that your water is free of chlorine. I'm made to believe that there's a way in which you can treat it to remove the chlorine, but that will be another cost. So just make sure that your water is free of chlorine. For us, we use water from the borehole, straight from the borehole into the ponds. It's not treated, nothing. So your water must be safe for your fish. Tip number 10, make sure you have calculated that you're going to be able to feed your fish properly. Make sure that the feed is available and storage. At least be able to buy feed enough for 2 weeks or so. The times I've only bought feed for 3 days, that wasn't good because I've failed to find money to buy feed. So it's always better to buy enough for at least 2 weeks, if not a month. With that, it means you need to make sure that you have storage for your feed. It has to be moisture free, well ventilated and whatnot, because you don't want your feed to get damp and get spoiled. Believe you me, we've been having shortages of feed. Like the fish that we have right now, we've been moving from this feed to this other one, to this other one, even to the worst of the feeds that people would say that one is the worst, it just sinks and whatnot. We have bought that feed at times because of lack of availability. Again, that's another area of investment. For those that are wishing to join the fish farming business, you have a tip from me. If you can go into feed production, there is market there. We always have a challenge of feed. A bonus tip, just make sure you always do your sample weighing. At least every 2 weeks you do your sample weighing so that you know the weight of the fish, which in turn will also enable you to know the correct feed to give. So that's about it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you've enjoyed this video, make sure you like, share and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next one.